Welcome to the Explainer. Today, we are going to tackle a question that, trips up pretty much everyone when they start their coding journey. What is the actual difference between scripting and programming? Let's dive in.
Yeah. Does this sound familiar? I bet it does. You hear these terms thrown around, and it can be so confusing. You're writing instructions, a computer is running them. I mean, it all feels like the same thing, right? And you know what? If you feel that way, you're absolutely right too.
So, our mission right now is to cut through all that noise. We're going to give you a really clear, straightforward way to think about what these terms mean, where this whole distinction even came from, and most importantly, if it even matters anymore. Okay, let's start with the basics. At the end of the day, whether you call it a script or a program, what you're writing is just a set of instructions for a computer. The difference isn't really about the act of writing the code. It's more about the context, the scale, and the ultimate goal of what you're trying to build. All right, let's start with the big one, programming. What does it traditionally mean to program something? The best way to think about it is like this. Programming is like being both the architect and the construction company. You're not just adding a new feature to a house. You're building the entire thing from the foundation up. And this really gets at the huge scope of programming. We're talking about designing incredibly complex systems from scratch. Everything from how the data is organized to making sure the final product is super fast and can handle tons of users. This is how you build massive things like the Windows operating system, or a complex video game, or a beast of a program like Photoshop. You use languages like C++ or Java that are built for that kind of heavy lifting. So if that's programming, what about the other side of the coin? Let's take a look at scripting. Here, the focus totally shifts. If programming was building the house, scripting is telling the smart speaker inside that house to turn on the lights. You're writing a small piece of code to take control of a system that's already built and ready to go. And its purpose is incredibly practical. Got a folder with 1,000 files that all need to be renamed? You can write a quick Python script for that. Need to make a web page interactive when a user clicks a button? That's a classic job for a JavaScript script. Ultimately, scripting is all about efficiency, automating the boring, repetitive stuff, and getting different programs to talk to each other. Okay, so let's put them side by side. When you see the direct contrast like this, the differences really become clear. Let's just walk through this. First, purpose. Scripting is for controlling systems that already exist. Programming is for building brand new ones. Next, execution. And this is a key technical point. Scripts are usually interpreted, which means some other program reads your code line by line and runs it on the fly. It's super flexible. Programs, on the other hand, are typically compiled. The computer translates the entire program into its own native language before it runs. This makes it way, way faster, which is critical for complex stuff. And that speed difference really dictates the scope. Scripting for smaller tasks, programming for the big, complex ones. But, and this is a really big but, this is where things get tricky. Because in today's world, those nice, clean definitions are starting to completely break down. The reality is that line between them is getting blurrier every single year. What used to be a pretty clear technical divide is now really more of a historical distinction because the tools themselves have just gotten so incredibly powerful. Historically, yeah, the roles were super separate. But today, that separation is basically gone. You can build gigantic, complex, world-class applications. I'm talking about things like Instagram or Spotify, using Python and JavaScript. These are languages that people once considered only for scripting. They've just become so powerful that the old labels, well, they just don't fit anymore. So this is probably the best way to think about it now. It's not about the language you're using, it's about your intent. Are you writing a quick command to automate something? You're scripting. Are you designing a massive, complex system from the ground up? You're programming. The key thing is, you can often do both of those things with the very same language. So at the end of the day, it's just better to think of them as tools in your toolbox. Worrying about whether to call Python a scripting language or not is way less important than just knowing what job you need it for. The goal is what matters, not the label we stick on it. And that's really the main takeaway. The next time you sit down to write some code, don't worry about the label. Instead, just ask yourself this one question. What problem am I trying to solve? Are you automating something, or are you building something from scratch? Your answer to that will tell you everything you really need to know. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.